Hi there, welcome back to Fuyao Banbei. Yeah, I don't really know how to translate my channel name yet. If you got any suggestions, feel free to drop it down below that like button. Anyway, today I wanted to talk about something that's near and dear to my heart because it was a considerable part of my identity up until not too long ago. You guessed it, internship. Specifically, I want to talk about what I've learned from my internship experiences and what I wish I knew before embarking on this whole internship journey. So here are some advice for you future interns out there. Just kidding, listen to advice, but don't follow them blindly. I know being the keener that you are, and don't pretend you're not because you've clearly clicked on this video. And to be frank, there's nothing shameful about being keen. Interns who choose to get work experience over the summer holidays are making a deliberate sacrifice. It's a way to look out for your own future. It's taking responsibility for yourself. So kudos to you. Sorry, where was I? Oh, being the keener that you are, you're probably planning lots of coffee chats or lunch and learns with folks at your internship. And inevitably, you're gonna ask them for advice, to just consume as much knowledge and wisdom as you can, which is totally great. I recommend you do it. But just remember that seeking and asking for advice is a skill that takes time to master for both parties. Usually, early on in your career, the topics you're searching advice for are broad topics. Therefore, the advice you'll be hearing are going to be generic. While these advice might be very helpful some of the time, they can be limited because they don't take individual context into consideration. And we all know there are always exceptions to every rule. And then there is exceptions to every exception. What I'm trying to say is take generic advice with a grain of salt and practice your own critical thinking. On the flip side, when you're asking for discrete advice, there's also a ton of watch-outs. Like defining the problem and communicating it properly without excluding the important information that is in your blind spot. Or finding the right advisor and correctly judging the quality of advice and not dismissing any advice that's out of the norm. Maybe I'll make a separate video about this in the future when I have a better grasp myself. But for now, I encourage you to not shy away from asking for advice, but just be aware that this whole advice seeking thing is an intricate art, and you'll get better at it over time. Microsoft's current CEO, Satya Nadella, once said in an interview with the Wall Street Journal,
"The one trait that I look for in new hires is..."
Do they create clarity? Do they create energy?
Although he was referring to new hires in general, I think this applies really well to interns. When you enter the workforce, your stakeholders are no longer your classmates, your TAs, or your professors. Even though both schools and workforce are places for learnings and growth, in the former, you are paying to be there, whereas in the latter, you are not. So it matters what you bring to the table. And let's be honest, being as young and as inexperienced as you are, there's not that much you can bring to the table compared to the industry experts whom you were searching advice from during the coffee chats earlier. But if there is one thing that you can definitely help out with, is to simplify things and create clarity for both yourself and for others. This could be a lot of things, including but not limited to simplify your notes. It's a good habit to take notes during a meeting, and it'd be even better if you could summarize them into a few bullet points, and then you can share it with the rest of the attendees. As an intern, you'll have fewer responsibilities and more free time, relatively. So I encourage you to seek and engage in opportunities that can simplify things. I think this is one of the best ways interns can bring value. This one is a no-brainer, but that doesn't make it any less important. Look, everyone is super busy, and interns are at the bottom of the corporate food chain. So making people want to work with you goes a long way. Yes, you heard me right. Santa isn't real. I'm sorry if this is the first time you're hearing it, but you've been lied to your entire life that there is no such thing as a stupid question. Don't get me wrong, seeking knowledge is good, but I'd encourage you to ask smart questions. A general rule of thumb is, before you ask someone a question, you should have already given enough thoughts or made attempts to answer the question yourself. This is probably the only actionable advice I can give you in this video. So after you're done watching this one, go watch some tutorials about Excel, PowerPoint, or Outlook. Depending on what major you are studying, you might need to reach different level of mastery in each app. For finance majors like me, you should at least attempt to navigate and update a DCF without touching a mouse. All the keyboard shortcuts in Excel will save you so much time and will allow for a better accuracy with your inputs. I can't speak to other majors, but if you're studying business in general, these apps are so crucial in your day-to-day. And one commonly overlooked app is Outlook. I can't emphasize enough the importance of having a healthy relationship with your email client. You might be thinking, it's just a tool for you to send and receive emails. What relationship? Well, when you send and receive 10, 20, or sometimes even 30 emails a day, you are going to develop a relationship with this email client. And according to Wang Fu in their short film Strangers Again, the stage after comfortable is tolerance. And if you don't take any action, the next stage is downhill. And ultimately, it's going to lead to... Okay, that's enough sidetracking for this video. To end off this advice, let me share my 2 Outlook relationship advice. The first one is called Show as Conversations. The second one is Search Folders, which lets you see all the emails that match a specific search criteria. This one is less of an advice and more of a in case you didn't know. At the place of your internship, there's gonna be no more rubrics to follow and no more answer key to check against. If you think about it, all the assignments and exams that we encounter at school are meant to simulate real-life circumstances. Rubrics are meant to provide us with guidance, and answer keys contain the actual solution. But in the real world, those things don't exist. That's not to say you won't receive clear instructions or that your work won't be assessed, but rather the problems you'll face in the real world are all novel problems with no pre-constructed solutions. All the appendix that you see in the Harvard business cases, you're gonna have to collect them and assemble them yourself. So embrace the fact that there's gonna be a lot less structure and a lot more ambiguity. You'll have to learn to manage it either by establishing your own structure, or perhaps you'll finally be able to unleash your creativity and bring forth revolutionary ideas. Either way, you're gonna have to take matters into your own hands. On your first day, the moment you set foot in the workplace marks the beginning of a 4-month interview. Now, I'm not trying to scare you in any way because it's a two-way street. During your internship, you should also be assessing whether or not you want to return to this workplace full-time. Note, not every workforce will have openings for recent grads, but if they do, the impression that you made during your internship should make it easy for them to extend you that return offer. Remember that you will have an advantage for many reasons. An obvious one is because they've already spent a lot of resources on you, and it would not be economical to let it go to waste. And even if they don't have an immediate opening, it doesn't hurt to be on their list in the future when they do hire. So that's sort of my 2 cents for things interns should know. You may have already noticed that these don't just apply to interns, and they can extend well into one's career. And based on these, if you establish the right habits early on, the interest it yields over time through compounding can be astonishing. Anyways, if you got any smart questions to ask or advice to share, please feel free to drop it down below that like button. Thanks for watching. I don't know how to translate my slogan, but I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Mr. Santa, I know you're real. I was joking earlier. Please don't put me on the naughty list.